Okay, what I'm going to talk about today is using Destiny Quest, or sometimes called Quest. You can get to it using your X2 login. All students and all teachers would have the Quest databases. But let's say, for instance, you didn't know your X2 login for some reason, and maybe you tried to reset and it didn't work. We do have a guest edition that you can use on the web. It's right here. The icon is on the home page for the library for Chelmsford High School, the CHS library, on our homepage. So let me just click on it right now, and here it is. So let's say the topic I'm interested in today is farming. I'll click on it. Okay, and you see how it had these tabs here. It didn't list them beforehand, which is something that I'm not always thrilled with. But it listed one book here for farming, and I could go to websites and it would give me a little bit more listing for it, because the first one were library titles. And I'll take a second. And now these are websites. Now these would be qualified websites. In other words, they'd be considered good sources, reliable websites. And I always point out, when you are doing research, you need more than one source, and you should read background information on it so that you know that you're getting good information. If you're getting information through Quest, they're all qualified, reliable sources. No source is perfect. You still have to deal with sources that could have a bias, or they could still even be mistakes, or something could be outdated or out of context. No source is perfect. So as a result, it's good to have multiple sources. It's always good to have several sources when you're looking at something, so you know your information is reliable. So these are websites, and you can see it listed 10 of 986. So one of the things you might want to do in order to limit your sources is to use more specific keywords. Urban farming. And it gave me still a number of results. And you can go in and click on these different links to limit the amount of sources that you'll get. Like, for instance, the Lexi Measure, these are reading scores, and people figure out about what the Lexi Measure is for a certain grade level or age group or student. And if you wanted ones that are less challenging or more challenging, you could move these and apply, and it would give you less sources, and you could narrow in the reading level where it's closer to the group that you're working with, or if you're a student, it might be closer to the reading level that you're comfortable with. The domains. Now, obviously, yeah, if you wanted a specific one, if you only wanted, .govs or .coms, you could do that. Topic. And it gives you different topics that are related to it that you could go and look at if that is helpful. Format type. If you want a video, it might be interesting to watch video, or an audio, or interactive, or animation, ebook. It breaks it down for you, which also helps you to pick a better source. Source type, news source, encyclopedia, and the same thing here. So let me try clicking on encyclopedia, then it would give me the encyclopedias. So if I go to topic, and let me pick a topic here, and they give me the ones under that topic. Now, one search would search a number of databases. It doesn't search the Gale databases, it searches the Clio databases. You can look under it, you can see under encyclopedia, this is Encyclopedia Britannica. There's a Clio ebook collection, reference databases, and it lists all the reference databases. Let me just scroll down a little bit so you can see all the Clio databases. There we go. There's a number of them right here, and you can check and uncheck. So that, let's say you didn't want to search that one because you thought the information might be less relevant in that database than it would be in another database. To try to limit the sources you're getting, maybe the issues one we could uncheck. And I'll uncheck a couple of these to give you an idea, and we'll get a few less sources this time. And I'll go apply, and then it gives us a few less sources, and you can see 14 online resources. So that's a way in which you can better select your information. What I usually tell people, if you don't have your X2 sign on, you should use the Destiny Quest guest login, which this is, and then go over to the Gale database and use that as well, and each have their pros and cons to using them. Like, if you look under the Clio databases, if I give the list, the Clio databases, you see a lot of this has to do with American history and government and things like that. With the Gale databases, you tend to find more databases that have to do with science, but there's still an overlap in information if you're looking in one from what you'll find. Like you could still go into one of these databases and you could find information that's related to science, like they have geography, you could find information that's related there. And you could go to some of the Gale databases and find information that relates to this. So there's always a crossover. But if you see the name of the database, you get a good idea of what type of information you're likely to get. So these are the Clio databases. So, and you can also search the library titles, which look at the actual books to see if we have the book or not, and it gives you information on it. They have lists. I can drag the information over there, and then it saves the title for me, which is kind of cool. You can go to the Follett bookshelf. I have to log in. I'm not going to do that right now. You can go back to Quest Home, and you can see how it started out. But it doesn't show you the tabs until I type in my first keyword. You can do an advanced search, and yeah, if you want to narrow down what you're doing to put in specific keywords. And I'll go to My Info, and then it shows the book that I dragged over to the side. And if I want to do, I could do the same thing for websites, I could do the same thing for OneSearch, and then at the end they would have the list of all my sources right there, and they'd be bookmarked in one neat place for me that I could then go and use to do my research and take my notes and find my new keywords to do better searches. So those are my tips. You obviously want to have more than one source. You want to use multiple keywords. You want to be specific when using keywords, and you want to search different databases. You might want to search several at a time and then search one individually. By doing that, you can get different sources and then read through the sources to see if this is something that's really helpful to you. This is John O'Sullivan for Chelmsford Public Schools. Thank you.